Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow-Driven CEO and VC podcast, whereby we are reshaping life, leadership, business and investing from the inside out. And I am welcoming to the show on a Monday evening, Eduardo Zaidan, all the way from Buenos Aires. Welcome to the show, Eduardo.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm actually from São Paulo, Brazil, but no problem. I was in Buenos Aires just a couple of days ago.
Oh my gosh, I thought for some reason Buenos Aires, there you are, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Yes, sorry
São
about
Paulo,
that. Why did
Brazil.
I say Buenos Aires?
Don't worry. It's fine. I love Buenos Aires, so it's fine. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I love Brazil. I've never been to Brazil, always wanted to go there. It just sounds spectacular. And last time we connected, which was a few weeks ago, you had a great backdrop happening. I think it was during the day for you versus
Yeah,
Monday evening. What time did you say? Is it 7 p.m. or 9 p.m.?
7 p.m. right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm actually at home now, but the last time we talked, I was in my office. I have a beautiful office here in São Paulo, which is in the coast of a mountain. So we can see all the green. It's a lot of trees inside around the office. So it's a pretty nice view.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say I bought a sunshine that comes with a building because
Oh, I
it's,
have heard.
yeah, it's a beautiful place. Everybody that goes there, and we moved to this building in the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, and everybody was saying that, oh, nobody wants to be at the office anymore. So we built a fantastic place, so the entrepreneurs and the
Well,
startups will want to
yeah,
stay there, and people love it, and so it's an amazing
yeah.
place.
Environment is so important, don't you think? Like having the creativity, the environment for collaboration and all of that. And we're going to get into that. I just think it is so important to be around people and, like entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs, that connection piece, and also having the right environment's super important. And so the ability to step outside amongst all the beautiful nature, it's a great place to be. Let's get into
Yeah.
it. You're the founder and CEO of Futurum Capital, and you've had the company for 8 years. It's a hands-on venture platform that creates and invests in helping scale technology-driven businesses from the earliest stages through seed and Series A. Rather than acting on capital alone, Futurum works alongside founders across product growth, business strategy, commercial partnerships, and financial intelligence, building the operational foundations that give ventures real traction. Your approach to venture is rooted in company building and not just company funding. I'm loving this conversation with a lot of people in VC, actually. It's really highlighting for me this conscious capital, if you like, and it's more than just company funding. There's so much more aspects. So I will love you get your point of view on that as well, Eduardo.
Yeah.
You combine capital with execution support, shared infrastructure, and ecosystem access. And I know that from what I understand, Eduardo, you specifically focus on helping startups grow with more clarity, speed, and strategic alignment. And that's the other thing that's coming up a lot lately, this need for a long-term view strategically, with so much in the world and uncertainty and unpredictability. How do you stay the course as well without, getting too reactive?
Yeah.
Your career has been shaped by the ability to reinvent, recollaborate, and lead differently depending on the environment. So there you go. A quality that now informs how you support founders navigating uncertainty, growth, and transformation. And when you booked in for the pod and I asked you, what's one thing or something that you've reshaped or shaped and shifted in business or leadership and investing, you said the ability to reinvent myself many times through my career, depending on the approach and environment that I needed to operate in. I'm going to hand it over
Yeah.
to you. There's so much to unpack here. I'll leave it with you.
Oh, thanks, B. This was an amazing introduction. I
Thank
think
you.
I'm gonna ask you to present me every time that I need to speak because this is amazing. Thank you very
I'm
much.
happy to.
Yeah,
No,
first
you're
of all,
welcome.
it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and I think you're doing a fantastic work at your
Thank you.
podcast, and there are some amazing interviews and so much talented people. So it's a pleasure to be here with
Thank
you. First of all.
you.
So I think the one thing that you were talking about reinventing myself, I think this has been a part of me as an entrepreneur for all my life. I started as very young, with 15 or so years old, of my first company that I founded. Of course, it didn't work out because this was I was too young and too foolish, but it told me most of the things that I understand that I cannot do in a company. So it was a very important journey for me. It took me 2 years and all the money that I had at the time, but it was a lesson that I've never forgotten. So since
And
that,
why,
I've been
sorry, what was the lesson? Just out of interest, what was the lesson that you learned at that age?
that you need to focus in. First of all, you need to have a clear plan. And after you had that clear plan, you need to know how you're going to execute it, and you need to measure everything that's happening. So this was I think, the first great lesson that I got, because I was entering in a business that I did not understood at the time. It was a farm.
Yeah.
My first company was a farm. We used to grow ostriches,
Oh,
so it was,
wow.
yeah.
There you go.
And of course, it didn't went well because I wasn't a farmer. My family, they had farms, and my partner was his family had farms as well. But it's very different from watching a farm and you're being a farmer. So
Yeah,
this is very
totally.
different, and all the aspects that you need to be aware of when you're growing an animal, when you're working in a live environment, which is very tough. So praise to all the farmers all around the world, because they have a fantastic and very tough job.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, yeah, so this I think this was my first lesson. And the second company that I founded, I was 16 years old. This was a very successful company. We used to at the time in Brazil, they didn't have cool T-shirts. There were two or three very established brands that used to do T-shirts for the young guys and girls, but it was like kind of very squared. They didn't have, the passion and everything. And I was fortunate enough to travel a lot when I was young with my family, and I saw some models in California and in Europe, especially in Italy, and I bought some of these T-shirts, and I came back to Brazil, and with some friends we created our second company, which we designed very cool T-shirts. This was a very different time in Brazil. We were a
Yeah,
very closed country. We couldn't import a lot of goods, so it was, and this was very good. I sold this company when I was 18 years old. It
wow.
was the first time that I census. Of course, I didn't make a lot of money, but it was, for me at the time, was, no, wow,
Yeah,
this is, I
cool.
understand now. This is what I want to do for my life, which is very
What
tough.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
what at 18, sorry, question again for you. I love hearing these stories. You start your first business at 15, which is incredible, and then at 18 you sell your second company. Did someone approach you, or did you have it in your head that you wanted to sell the company? Like at
No,
18, I'm just yeah,
actually, the timing was perfect, because I was we founded the company with, it was three friends and myself, and two of those friends, they had different jobs, so they left the company in the middle of that time. It was like a 2 year period. In the first year and a half, they left the company, and the other partner was, he was the designer, so all the load were in my shoulders at the time. So, and I wanted to do I study economics and business here in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and the university that I wanted to went was all day long, so it was very tough for you to work at the same time. But I started this, and I wanted to move forward because I was making money, and for me at the time was really nice. It's the first time that I learned how to sell. I'm a salesperson, and I've because used to have a I think here in Brazil, where we used to sell the t-shirts. It was called Mundo Mix. It's World Mix in English, which was a very underground scene. There was a pavilion, or a big place, and all these alternative brands and
oh, I love it.
tattoos and things
Yeah,
like that used to get together all the weekend.
know my vibe. Yeah,
Yeah, and I've built a very different thing that was, popped the attention because everybody was just applying the clothes and was very okay. I built a place that I could, mountain and mountain it, and it has a place for people to change. It was the curtains, and it was like glow green. It was giant. It was something, out of that world. At that time, it was very interesting. And then you only sell white and black T-shirts, and with the green, it was the contrast was amazing. So everybody would get there, and I sold every weekend. I sold all the inventory that we had, and then I was 18 years old. I applied to the university, and I passed the university, and I was like in this, I need to study all day long, but I have a business that is growing and everything. And one time, my mom mentioned she had a friend that they used to have a huge clothes brand in Brazil. They sold this company a couple of years after that. She connected me with one of her designers, and she fell in love with the brand, and she bought it. It was like in 2 weeks, like from the day that I met her to for me selling my first company was like 15 days.
Wow. That's incredible.
This was, it wasn't very structured or
No.
anything. We were making money. She bought and then she ended the brand actually, and she incorporated our t-shirts and our designs into their brand, which was one of the largest in Brazil at the time. So it was very good for me, the feeling or understanding the process, the beginning, because after that I sold another company, which was a much more structured company. I sold it to another company which was listed. So this was a very
Yeah, right.
serious,
Yeah.
due diligence. But the first time, me as an 18-year-old boy selling my first company, making some bucks and entering the university. So it was a very nice experience. They were very nice to us, and they made a deal for us that it was very good for us at the time. And this was my first experience, understanding how this mechanism of creating, growing, and selling a company actually
Yeah.
works. Of course, it was a small brand, but an independent and very underground brand, but it worked. It was good.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I like the way you call it out as create, grow, sell. Like it's kind of a really nice flow of, yeah, the create, grow, sell. At 18, and then you obviously then, have a company that's listed and you sell that as well. And at 18, you're almost a little bit carefree, you're just going with the flow, so to speak. And
Yeah.
then you start to become more of an adult. Is there, and you talk about reinvention. How much did you reinvent going from that 18-year-old self, from a cool T-shirt brand, if you like, indie type,
Mhm.
like I can only imagine what the scene was like and the vibe was like. And there's a market here, still exists actually. I know the guy that owns it, and it's got all of that about it. Um, he's completely turned it into a really commercial business now.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did what was your trajectory in terms of continuing to reinvent? Was there any failures along the way? Was there anything that
Tons. And one thing that I've said to all the companies that we invest in, I said the money that I give you, it's nothing. You can get it anywhere, but the experience that I'll bring to the table, this is this is the real good stuff. I say to everybody, my real value when entering a company, it's not letting you commit the mistakes I've committed in the past.
yeah,
So this is, I think for me, this is the most important thing because once you know the way for you to navigate throughout all the problems that you're gonna have creating and growing a company, which they change. Sometimes you're
constantly.
prepared for starting a company, but you're not prepared to grow this company. You have different tasks, different challenges that you need to face throughout the growth of the company. And most of the time we see that the entrepreneurs, they are not ready. They know how to create a company, but and then when you start growing the company, you need to adapt. And a lot of people have a great deal of difficult on dealing with this. So
What do you say they're
the
not ready? Like, to share with the listeners, what do you mean, and the entrepreneurs listening, what do you see as not being ready? Is it the commercial viability? Is it the strategy, the growth strategy? Like, what is it when
yeah,
you
a lack of understanding that the risks change, the commitment that you have changes, and the experience. And like when you're starting a company, most of the time people, they are technicians or they understand something real well, and they build something to solve a problem that they see. Okay, so this is most of the entrepreneur stories that we see. After a while, when after you have the MVP and you tested, you have your product market fit, and the startup and the company starts getting some traction, and start making some money, and then you the focus and the attention that the entrepreneur needs to have, it's totally different. And we have at Futurum, we have a program which is called the ultimate CEO. We transform founders in CEOs, because you being a founder, you need to have some certain skills. When you transition to being a CEO, you need to have other skills, which are communication, risks, capital management, team management.
All of
You're
it.
not Yeah, exactly. You're not, with the boots on the ground anymore. You need to focus in the higher ground, and you need to focus in a larger perspective to understand not only your product, but the market that you're in, your competitors, where the technology is going, how you're going to build great performance teams, how you're going to, deal with the problems that having a team brings to you, especially nowadays when people are built different from what we used to be.
Yeah. I think the one thing that we don't get trained enough on as CEOs is you're just is managing the expectation of it's just continuously putting out spot fires.
Yeah,
You've everything you've just called out there, and you're continuously putting out spot fires with the people, the team, the market conditions, growth capital, all of it. And so a lot of people go into these roles thinking, and it's like that is the role. That is the role. It is
exactly.
it's continuously putting out spot fires, and so it's how do you
Exactly.
sustain yourself in that sort of environment? So where you're not doing this, you're just having that ability, like you say, to keep looking up, looking around, and not putting your head in the sand. And I think that is one thing for listeners here that, if you are wanting or, in the CEO role, just being mindful and aware of that's what is ultimately a lot of what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And what we are looking for when we're investing, because I said we are not investing in companies, we are investing in people, we're investing in entrepreneurs, and
Yeah,
the ability of this entrepreneur to grow alongside the company,
yeah.
when they are developing it. Because if you have, yeah, like your mind in just one thing, you won't get there. It won't be enough. You know, you need to understand different aspects of growing a company, and creating a company. So not just an idea, but a company that runs, that have people, HR, marketing, everything. You
All of it.
have, yeah, you need to be aware of everything that, and what is your strategy? What is your growth strategy? You're gonna be bootstrapped forever. It's not a problem, but this is a path. No, I'm gonna do the VC path. This is another path, and you need to be
Mm,
prepared to do that.
mm.
You need to understand what my investors are going to look for when they are looking in my company. How is my structure? How is my cap table structure? How is my financial structure? How is my technology, my IP structure? Everything that we need to understand, because I'm investing in a company, and I'm going to wait 10 years to have this money back. So
Yeah.
it's a marriage, and it's worse
Yeah,
than
it
a
is.
marriage.
It is. It's a business marriage. So tell me, let's cast you back to 18. You then continue on. How fast forward to Futurum. So that company started 8 years ago. You've
Yeah,
obviously had quite a few reinventions along the way, and like you said, a few failures as well, which is always growth, right? Tell us a little bit about then how you came on to deciding that you wanted to help support, guide entrepreneurs on their own.
perfect. Yeah, I told you my early ventures, and then I've created a lot of companies after that. I went to work some time with my family, and then I became 3 years, and then I became an entrepreneur again. I sold a company. This company I didn't create it. I created a company. I sold this company, and then it was an internet company. And then I entered in another company, which was a laboratory specialized in health for women.
Oh, yeah, great.
Exams like mammography and exams for women. And I grow this company. I did a turnaround in this company, and I grew this company to be the largest in Latin America. And I sold to the
Wow.
largest laboratory in Brazil. This was my biggest sale. This was a fantastic. I think by today's standards was the biggest amount in times per EBITDA from the health market. So I think until now. So
Wow.
this was a fantastic operation. Yeah, we sold this company. I entered in this company in 2003. I sold it in December in 2007. This was a huge sales. And then after that, went to work with my family again. I used to build oil refineries. I was one of the heads of the oil and gas division for my family's company. And then I stayed roughly 9 years then. And then I wanted to go back and be an entrepreneur again. And then I created a lot of companies. I created some restaurants. I created ed tech in the US, a software development company in the US. I've created a lot of the first platform to have your medical files online in Brazil, and I've created another laboratory, which was the first digital laboratory in the world that my younger brother runs it, which is a fantastic company. We got the larger health tech investment in Brazil last year. It was very good. So I created a lot of companies. I've been creating a lot of companies.
Yeah.
And then in 2017, I was one of my friends, a long time friend called me, Giancarlo, which is my partner at Futurum, my co-founder. And he called me and said, I have a company that I want you to invest in. It was a company in the US, a company that will help to facilitate the lives of the artists in the US. Was a fantastic company, which was a company that we're going to make money and help a lot of people at the same time. And I fell in love with the idea, but I was managing a lot of companies at the time. And it was 11 companies that I was running. And it was like I couldn't get to see my children.
Yeah.
And I told me I cannot do that. And then we discussed it over lunch one day, and I gave the idea, say, why don't we create a holding, and we hire some people to for us to canalize the startups and the opportunities that we have, because he's an entrepreneur for all his life, and another two other co-founders with us were long time entrepreneurs as well, and we focus all the idea. We put a management team, an investment team. We put money in the company, and we we see what happens. And this was in 2017. Futurum started like this, a holding company. In 6 months, everybody sold everything or stopped working everything and went to Futurum because we fell in love with the idea of helping the entrepreneurs, because all my life I've did everything bootstrap. I put my
Yeah.
money, my work and everything, because in Brazil the venture capital, it's very young. We are
Mm.
talking 10 years,
Wow,
12
really?
years. Yeah, it's very new, because the interest rates in Brazil are very high. So for you to have a pipeline of startups and have funds that can remunerate the capital at, like, today, the interest rate in Brazil is 14.5% a year. Is the
Wow.
highest in the world, or the second highest in the
Yeah.
world. So for you to
Wild.
operate in an environment, in an environment like this is very difficult. So a movement of startups and VCs, it happened for the past 10 to 12 years. So all my life, I've talked to private equity companies or some VCs that were mainly working in Brazil. And when I went to discuss an idea with them, I said, "Oh, how much revenue do you have? You have $150,000 in revenue. You have your compliance. You have your so it need to be so structured that I said, if I had everything that you were asking me, I didn't need your money. So the
No.
idea behind creating Futurum was to help the entrepreneurs with our experience. So we say that we are an entrepreneur company for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So the idea is to invest in mostly pre-operational companies. I think mainly 90% of all the companies we invested so far were pre-operational companies, people highly skilled with great ideas that wanted to create the companies alongside with us. So I
Yeah,
said
okay,
to everybody,
that weren't clear on how to do that. There's so many questions. So would you say that Brazil is an emerging, like you said, that's a young VC,
yeah,
from it. Would you say you're a more emerging then in terms of like in compared to other markets? Would you
oh,
like, I mean,
totally.
when you think about Silicon Valley and other markets,
Oh, we
and
are 20
you're
years
like a
behind.
newer ecosystem, like you have this opportunity to really change the way, when you talk about reinvention or reshaping, there's a real
Yeah.
opportunity here to do it, to potentially do it differently. And I guess my question also is the holding company name in terms of Futurum. It gives you pronounce it better than I do. I'm doing it in an Aussie way. It gives you this ability to continuously, I feel like continuously evolve. This Futurum
Yeah.
is always
Yeah.
forward thinking, always future thinking. Is that the whole? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. This is the idea that we're always moving forward. We created an ecosystem that has everything that the entrepreneur needs to operate his company, from pre-operational throughout multi-million companies.
Mm,
We help them in each and every way, in each different phase of the company. We had accelerating programs. We started venture builder program. We don't do this anymore, but we do accelerating programs. We do VC. We do corporate venture capital. We do education. So technology. So we have this whole ecosystem around the entrepreneur to help him in his day by day operation.
yeah.
Um, I said to everybody, if you want an investor, don't talk to me. If you want a partner, you can talk to me.
Yeah.
I'll be
I'd
a
love to
partner.
I'd love to unpack that. A couple of questions that come to mind for me. I'm seeing a pattern in terms of women in the VC, in the entrepreneur space, and there's a real gap in terms of female founders and female founders seeking funding, investing, etc. Is that like there's a real gap in like, I guess, and it's not it's not a versus, it's just a real gap. Do you have that gap in Brazil, or are you seeing that, or is it more even here in Brazil than it is in other markets?
No, no. I think it's the pattern is the same all around the world. We have nowadays we have operation in the US and Lisbon, and we stayed 2 years in Abu Dhabi as well, but then we closed operation there. But we want to go there again, and all the emerging markets that we operate, it's the same. Women are amazing. We love working with women because you're so resilient, and you understand the world in a different perspective, which I love.
I agree.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very different from males, and we appreciate that a lot. But I think there is a lot of weight in terms of women that wants to be entrepreneur and have their own company, because it's a very demanding
I
job,
was going to ask you that.
and it's a very lonely job, and we understand that a lot of women wants to be mothers and wants to be wives, and it's a toll. It's very difficult, and so this is a barrier. But I really I know fantastic entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, that are
Mm,
amazing person that grew fantastic company. I can give you an example. Cris Junqueira from Nubank. Nubank is the largest digital bank in Brazil, and she started this company. She has 3 kids, and she grew this company from scratch. She used to. I have a podcast at the company as well, and we interview her, and she was like, I was breastfeeding, answering the phone. I was the call center for the bank, and I was breastfeeding, answering the call. So I think that, you know, it has a lot of, it's more difficult in these
Uh,
terms from women
mm,
that are from men. But, and I think, and I really want to see this gap narrowing,
yeah, I
because
agree.
we have like, when women, it's a good entrepreneur, she's so much better than the men's, that it's, you know, it's very
Well,
good
I
to
think it's a
see.
mix. For me, it's a mix, right? Like it's that female and male energy flow, and it's how the two
Yeah,
interconnect together. Because I do think, and it actually leads into my next question in terms of I wrote down ruthless, and in terms of like when it comes to being an entrepreneur and that ability you called out, resilient. I talk a lot around anti-fragile. So the ability to continue to bounce forward. We have fragile moments, we bounce back. How do we keep bouncing forward? I was keen to get your thoughts, and I'll come back to the women piece in a second on, like when it comes to business manners, if you like, do you think that you need to be ruthless, or is there a different way to be able to do business, like when it comes to deals and in calling the shots when you need to call it? You have to be direct, you have to be, to the
yeah.
point. Is that a mannerism in being ruthless, or is it another way to deliver that? And so then I come back to the male and female piece for a second, and I kind of go, females, I can be blunt. Sometimes I go, oops, I didn't, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. I can be very direct at times,
Yeah.
because it's like I'm just saying it how it is, sort of thing. And so I think that male and female energy piece can counteract one another, and the ability to, again, coming back to this delivery, ruthless, etc. I don't know. I may not be making sense of where I'm going with this. I
No,
don't,
you are. I understand. I understand. I think it's always a mix in terms of being ruthless, in terms of your uh, persistence, in
yes,
terms of your commitment, but not with people. I think
yes,
sometimes you need to be very strong, because everybody's gonna say that you were wrong. Everybody's gonna say that you're not gonna make it. A lot of your even your partners sometimes, or your employees, they're gonna bounce back. They're gonna move away from the thing that you believe it's the right thing to do. And this is, sometimes you need to be very direct, very, I won't say ruthless, but more,
yes, which is
determined.
good. I was hoping you would say that. I was hoping you would say that, because I think the old world of being ruthless and really, hustle mentality and whatever it
Yeah.
takes, and I think that's where the male female piece coming into play together can help counteract that old behavior, old way of being,
Mm-hmm.
old way of doing things, if
Mm-hmm.
you like, because there is a different
Yeah.
way to get the same result, and doing it in a way that's a lot more sustainable is probably where I'm
Yeah.
going with this. I am
I
conscious,
think I
Vicky.
think that is one thing that I say to everybody is, when I enter the office, I need to assume a persona, which is, I need to defend my interest and the interest of my shareholders. This
Mm.
is very important. And sometimes you need to be tough. You need to
Yes,
be, you
100%.
need to have, you need to take the difficult route, or take some actions that will hurt some people, but this is business, okay? This is very different from you to be ruthless, you to be or you to be, how can I say that, not to be, do things in the right way. This is, I always say this, I will never make you a proposition that, if you did it to me, I wouldn't accept,
Yeah, I like that. It's a
you
good way
know.
to be. It's a good way.
So
Yeah,
exactly, but this is fair. You need to be fair.
agree. Fair.
Sometimes being fair hurts.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, I
simple
agree.
as that.
I totally agree. I've got a couple of final questions for you, because I do know it's Monday night, and
Don't
it's
worry.
always the start of the week. I want to get your thoughts on this as an entrepreneur, and I guess the advice, again, you give to listeners, you give to your entrepreneurs that you at Futurum work with. I've lately been really pushing myself out of my comfort zone in terms of, we're in very uncertain times, and so like just excuse me, I got caught then.
No
doing
problem.
things that I wouldn't like. I mean, I always put myself out there, but lately I have really been putting myself in situations where it's almost like so uncomfortable. And yet I do it. And then I'm like, I did it. And then I'm like, woohoo, high fiving myself, talking to myself, going, go B, having a
Yeah.
moment to really just continue to grow, to know that I'm capable, that sort of kind of momentum, that the ability to bounce forward. How important do you see that in terms of the entrepreneurs you work with and even from your own experience? Whether even if it doesn't work out for you, you've given it a go. Do you
Yeah.
think that's a really important trait of an entrepreneur?
I think this is one, if not the most important thing of all. I
Yeah.
always said, if I'm not feeling butterflies in my stomach, I'm doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
the
true.
only, yeah, the only thing to for you to be able to grow, you need to put yourself in a difficult position. Um,
Yeah.
my grandfather, he always says to me that there are no good sailor. You don't produce a good sailor in calm seas. So this is very important. You need to be tested. You need to be out of your comfort zone every single day. If you're not doing that, you're not gonna make it, and you're not gonna go far, and you're not gonna disrupt, and you're not gonna, Of course, there are some people that are simply lucky. I'm talking in general, you know.
Mm.
There are people that are lucky and do something and explode and make a lot of money in one time, and that's fine. But if you want to do this seriously for the rest of your life, which is a very tough life, okay, but it's a very good one, but it's tough. You need to put yourself every single day in a position that you're going to say, I don't have the clueless idea how I'm going to solve this.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Every time that I've put myself in this position and I work, myself to the exhaustion to understand the path and to understand how we're going to, do that, solve that problem. I was like, it's not linear growth. It's like
No, it's
this.
non-linear. Totally.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so
like
it's
that.
it's so exponential that you say,
Yeah.
wow. And then you say, oh, but it was actually easy. But we tend to suffer with things that we don't know, we don't
Yeah.
understand. This is the idea of preconcept. You have an idea, then you
Yeah.
think. And I always said to everybody, say, that statistically, more than 86% of all the things that you think won't happen. So stop thinking and start doing
Overthinking.
things,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Okay, final 2 questions, final, and, uh, second last question. You talked earlier around your family and the importance of your children and spending time with them and quality time with family. An entrepreneur, you've obviously been coming up with ideas since you were 15. How important, and again, back to the conversations you have within Futurum and again, the entrepreneurs you work with invest in, what advice do you give them when it comes to the ability to switch off and get that? We talked at the very start of this show around environment. And for me, environment's really important to go and do like a yoga class or have an infrared to get the fresh perspective because it is 24/7 if you're not careful, and you need to have that ability to switch off. What advice do you give your people
I'm I'm, I'm
and
gonna be
yourself?
I'm gonna be I've been doing this for 32 years, so it's been a while. um I'm gonna be very tough, and I'm gonna say to you, if you want to have everything, you won't have nothing. You need to choose um consciously, and you need to understand that there are going to be periods in your time that you won't be able to be around your family, and they need to understand that. You need to be crystal clear in terms of, I have two kids, and they support me, they understand. I used to travel, I stayed like 3 years traveling 20 days a month, and they, it was tough for them, but they understand that. They know that I was doing this for them as well. And you need to focus, and you need to understand when you need to be more flexible and have a more quality time, and the times that you need to really focus and be determined and nothing will stop you. So this is a very difficult balance. It's actually not a balance at all.
There's no balance. There's no such thing
There's
as
no
balance.
balance.
I really hate that word, to be honest.
Yeah, everybody that is gonna enter in entrepreneur life thinking they'll balance their good life with their company, they're gonna missing one of the two things miserably. So you need to go there, focus that you won't have everything, but you need to understand what you need when you need it, so you
Yeah.
be able to switch from one place to the other, and have everything. But it's very difficult. This is I think this is the most difficult thing for
Yeah.
entrepreneur.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important to be able to build in those micro moments, like, because you may not have holidays for quite some time. I know I
Yeah,
haven't, in terms of just, so like, how do you build in those micro active recovery moments to keep your fresh perspective on a daily basis? This is a
exactly.
super random question I've been dying to ask though. Is that a picture behind you? What's that backdrop there? It's
Yeah,
very,
it's a painting actually.
yeah,
It's
it's
a
very cool.
painting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've love art, and I'm surrounded by art, all around in my apartment, in my house here, and
Very cool.
I'm always very keen to discover new artists and everything. So this is a painting. I was, I rushed. Actually, got into my apartment 1 minute and a half before we started this
Oh, there
conversation.
you go. How good are you?
So I was very, I'm gonna sit here. I sit in the first place, and I think
Very
I'm gonna
cool.
ask you. It's good. It's good. The background, for you to be able to show something that I don't know. I didn't want to put like a white,
Yeah.
or
No,
I
I
don't
get it.
have a
Yeah.
white wall here, but anyway,
No, I
something
get
that
it.
will be
And I think
different.
it's the other call out, right? Improvisation. You have to continuously improvise as an entrepreneur. Like you've just said, you just got home a minute and a half ago. Like nothing's perfect. So like you just go, okay, this is going to work this way because it needs to
Yeah.
work. And it's how you frame it how you frame yourself in the very environment you're in. I think that can make a huge impact in a positive or not so positive way. And I think that that's the beauty of also being an entrepreneur, continuously adapting, flexibility, all of that as well.
Yeah, I think
Eduardo, oh, sorry, you go.
no. I think you need to be able to adapt. I think this is the
Yes,
most important thing. You need
100%.
to read the place that you're in and adapt as fast as
Yeah,
you can. If you do
yeah,
that, you good.
yeah. Is there any other advice you would like to share before we wrap it up and let you get back to your Monday? Is it Monday? Yeah, Monday
Yeah,
evening.
I think one thing that I always said at the office, one thing is you cannot punish error. You can punish when people miss the second time the same thing,
Yes.
because being
Right.
an entrepreneur is error, 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 error until you got it right. So you're gonna fail miserably 100 times before you get it right. Um don't beat yourself up when you fail. Fail is part of the process. I failed many times. I fail every day, and it's part of being an entrepreneur and learning with your
Yeah,
mistakes. But the most important thing is to learn from your mistake. Don't do the
I
same
agree.
mistake again. But if you do that, you're not gonna be successful. And I think the second thing that it's enjoy what you're doing. Don't do something because you're gonna get rich, or just this is part of the process. I know that there is a lot of people that say that, but it's true.
I agree.
Just enjoy. If you enjoy what you're doing, you're gonna be successful. It could take you 10, 20, 30 years. It doesn't matter. But if you enjoy, I say every day to my kids, I don't work a day. I love what I do, and I have tons of problems, and many companies, but I love what I do. I love so much that I was in yesterday. One of my sons said, "Oh, I hate Monday." I say, "I love Monday. Monday is my perfect day of my the day that I've mostly enjoyed in the week, because there are so many possibilities, so many things to happen.
So good.
So
There is.
you need to be this, joy and cheerful for solving
I
problems.
agree.
And this
And
is,
I
I
always
think,
say,
this is the."
On a shitty day, when you have one of those really low moments, it's like tomorrow's a brand new day. I always say that.
Exactly.
I used to always say that to my staff. Tomorrow's a brand new day. Like, just think about it that way. Today's over. Tomorrow's a brand new day. So,
Exactly.
Eduardo, how do
More
we find out?
opportunities.
Yeah, totally. More opportunities. Such a great conversation. Thank you so much. How do we find out more about Futurum Capital? How do we find out more about you? How do we find out more about you, Eduardo, and how do we find out
Yeah,
more about Futurum Capital?
you can find about Futurum at our website. It's futurum.capital. We have our podcast. We are in all platforms. Of course, it's the podcast is all in Portuguese, but if people are fun, you can put some legends on it and subscribe. So if we do, it's called Futurum Talks. Myself, I'm Liquid Eduardo Capobianco Zaidan.
Amazing.
So I can write it down for you so you can put
I've
in
got it. I've got it already. I just like my guests, like talking, like
and people, yeah, people can connect with me through LinkedIn or at my email. You can find in my LinkedIn my email, and you can. A lot of people send me emails for us to invest or to evaluate their companies. This is our daily work. We have a huge process on doing that, but I try to answer everybody, which is a lot of
amazing.
people.
Yeah,
uh, so people just can connect with me, and I'll be glad to get
amazing.
back to everybody and work. We I love what I do, and I love helping people. So this is
Exciting
the main
three.
thing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Eduardo. It's been a great conversation, and I'm wishing you a wonderful week ahead with all the possibilities that are out there. So, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, B. It was a pleasure. The show is amazing. I love what you're doing. Keep doing that, and we're
Thank
gonna
you.
grow, grow, grow. It's fantastic. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Have a good evening. Take care.
You too.